All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we have some developing news, and this is a story coming right out of Boston, and it's concerning both Mayor Michelle Wu and her Boston Fire Cadet program. Now, you may have never heard, maybe you have, about this initiative, but of course, it's all about diversity, equity, and making Boston's fire department reflect the city itself. Now, at first glance, you could say this seems like the kind of progressive vision someone would proudly put on a campaign poster. But sometimes the brightest of ideals cast the longest shadows. And in this case, it seems those shadows might be hiding some troubling facts. So let me break it down for you about what we know and what is going on here, and really what is being alleged. First of all, the Boston Fire Cadet program. This was originally designed to address a long-standing lack of diversity in Boston's fire department. Now, for some context, as of 2024, this was still a department made up of only about 27 women out of 1,556 firefighters, with a workforce that's about 73% white, which in turn is far reflecting a city that's 44% white and 51% female. Now, this program pays young recruits aged, I believe it was 18 to 25, a salary of about $32,000 during a 2-year training period, which effectively prepares them for careers in firefighting. So on paper, it does sound like a win-win. You're opening doors, you're promoting fairness, and you're making the department truly representative of the community that it serves. But guess what? It kind of stops there, right? It stops there, because here's where it gets complicated. There are allegations emerging from insiders who I've also spoken to who say the reality is far less rosy than advertised. And according to a blog post from Mass Daily News, some cadets are reportedly being allowed to slide through the cracks even after failing critical physical fitness tests. Now, we're not talking about like minor slip-ups here. These tests are supposed to be a must-pass test for what I think is probably one of the most physically demanding jobs out there, at least one of them, right? But our sources have claimed some cadets who have repeatedly failed regular evaluations are quietly being retested on weekends. And during those tests on the weekend, there seems to be absolutely no oversight and nobody is watching, but they are conveniently passing this test. So when you boil this down, this isn't really about fairness. I think everybody forgot about public safety here, right? At least that's where my mind goes. Because firefighting isn't something that you can just fake. People's lives depend on the ability of firefighters to perform under extreme circumstances and extreme stress. So when you lower those standards, I would think there is a high probability of disastrous consequences, and I'm sorry to say that. Now, one insider described the situation pretty bluntly, asking what happens when someone couldn't pass a basic drill is sent into a real fire. And that's a great question. And this is exactly what happens, at least to me, when ideology takes priority over merit. And the concerns indicate that these cadets were secretly used to assist in Mayor Wu's controversial mass and cast sweeps, which I think in turn you could say is a politically charged effort to clear out the people in these encampments, right? There were some leaked emails. This was also cited by Mass Daily News that allege that minimal trained cadets were enlisted to quietly remove people or move people into shelters around Boston, which makes me question if it's about political optics over public safety and proper training. We could throw that into the mix too. Now, adding to these troubling claims, I've personally talked to and found out that some of these like academy instructors, I think upwards of 3 have resigned over the concerns about the lower standards. And the reality is these instructors stepped down. So I don't know if that was the instructors that were passing these people through or other instructors got frustrated with the circumstances. Again, this is an ongoing story here. But I think there's a clear issue here, and it goes deeper than just the weekend retests, which also I think like raises some serious concerns about the integrity and accountability from within Boston's Fire Academy itself. Now, if any of you are instructors or you know one of these instructors that quit or whatever happened and they're watching, please have them reach out to me personally, or if you are watching, reach out to me personally. I would love to talk to you. Now, officially, the Boston Fire Department states on their website that cadets must pass rigorous fitness tests throughout their training, but they haven't directly addressed the specific allegations about the failing scores and or special treatment. There's also some levels of controversy around shortening the program from 2 years to 1 year. I don't know if that will also result in less pay or if it'll still be the $32,000, which is something that they were trying to get approved last year. But I believe there was some pushback from the firefighters union itself, who warned against, potential political favoritism and nepotism here. So it could also be a mix of this as well. So my opinion here boils down to this, right? It all boils down to public trust. When you position equity and diversity as a priority over merit and accountability, that is a huge problem. And we are seeing this happen in multiple industries. There have been layoffs in multiple industries when it comes to this. So when these policies are meant to serve the public good, what it does is it potentially jeopardizes public safety. So it's time for somebody to answer tough questions here, right? I think that's what this boils down to. Are standards being compromised? Are politics dictating who becomes a firefighter rather than merit and their own ability? I mean, these allegations aren't just troubling. They have the potential to erode public trust in the entire city's leadership. When accountability fails, what ends up happening is this is like an infection, right? Before you know it, similar problems, and it may even be happening today, if they're unchecked, they end up infecting other departments, whether it be the police department, maybe the correction system, and beyond that. And that happens because it goes unchecked. So what starts as one isolated incident could turn out to be systematic. And really, that could undermine the confidence in our very institutions meant to keep our community safe. That's why this is a big problem. And personally, I think an independent investigation should be the logical next step here. Now, whether or not that happens, that's completely up in the air, guys. But I think anytime that you have this happening in one area, and I've talked about this a lot on this channel, anytime it's in one area, there's a high probability that this is also infecting other areas as well. And you know me, I have a ton of respect for the military, for police, for firefighters. I do, absolutely do. But the reality remains, if people are getting in and they're not necessarily being hired on their personal physical capabilities, and they're being hired because it's a DEI hire or whatever the hell you want to call it, I just find it wrong. And I also find it insulting to the people that had to go through these rigorous tests and do things by the book. I also said this before, it's about fairness, right? And this is not fair, okay? It's not fair to the people that had to go through the rigorous tests, fail, come back, and then pass. It's also not fair to the communities of people that are supposed to be protected, right? We want to have people that are hired on merit, not because of some political optics or whatever the hell it may be. So anyway, that's it for today's video, guys. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.